Seeing how Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is just a Wii U port that was meant to jumpstart the Switch's life, there's a lot of people out there, especially this wicked fine lady right here, who are expecting Mario Kart 9 any minute now. And you'd think that'd be an obvious move for Nintendo to make, but the fact is that the current Mario Kart game's still selling out the ass at full price. And if you ask my BUTTTPPPY, I think it's worth every penny. Because according to a dancer who works in my local Circuit City, the Wii U didn't even sell one console. So if you think about it, MK8 Deluxe isn't even a port to most people. But even though I'd love to get a Mario Kart 9 on the Switch with more characters and courses from outside franchises, I still think it'd be silly for Nintendo to make Mario Kart 8 obsolete when there's still so many people who are happily playing it. Whether Nintendo kills Mario Kart 8 or lets a Wii U port run wild on the Switch as the one and only Mario Kart game, though, somebody's gonna be disappointed. And to be honest, I wouldn't even be surprised if another Gulf War started because of it. But luckily for all you, my PR department told me a great way to grow my new channel would be to win a Nobel Peace Prize. So to do that, I'm gonna try my best to prevent a catastrophe that nobody even saw coming in the first place. How can I prevent Mario Kart fans from destroying civilization as we know it, you ask? Well, by convincing Nintendo to release a long-awaited sequel to Mario Kart Double Dash, because that's literally the only move they can make right now that avoid riots. Some of you are probably wondering how that'd even be different from Mario Kart 9 since Double Dash is technically just Mario Kart 4, but in a lot of ways, it's kind of its own standalone game. And that's mainly because Nintendo was taking a lot of risks back in the GameCube era. Sadly though, most of Nintendo's attempts at trying new things either weren't given a chance at the time or at the very least were underappreciated in the case of Double Dash. Rather than a traditional Mario game, the console had a Luigi spin-off at launch. And then when a traditional Mario game finally came out, the whole game was built around a water cannon. Plus, they also cel-shaded Zelda, which a lot of buttwagons thought was too childish at the time. And rather than just pumping Mario Kart 64 full of steroids and calling it a day, Double Dash added the twist of choosing 2 drivers instead of 1. Basically, each of the 2 drivers held 1 item, and to switch items, you'd have to switch drivers. Plus, each set of characters had their own special items, such as Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong using special bananas, or Yoshi and Birdo using eggs.
We have so many variety of eggs, you wouldn't believe it.
These differences might not seem like all that much, but to me they gave this game its own identity, and it'd be a real shame to leave that identity in 2003 just because people weren't tough enough for the GameCube. Whenever I hear anybody say a Mario Kart game that isn't 8 Deluxe is the best, I usually accuse them of wearing a nostalgia thong. Since I spent most of my time with the DS version, I can understand someone saying their personal favorite game is an older one, but I think I speak for most logical people when I say that the only 3 Mario Kart games that can make a case of having their own identity are the original Mario Kart and Super Circuit, which are games that basically run on a dated engine that's best left in the past anyway. And then of course there's Double Dash, which always seems to settle out of court whenever another Mario Kart game tries to sue it for the title of the best game in the series. I'm not saying it's the best in the series, and I know not everybody thinks that either. I actually prefer Mario Kart 8 and even 7 myself. But if one Nintendo console is gonna have 2 Mario Kart games, then why would you want them both to be the exact same thing with one being like 10% better? According to my outside source at Nintendo, Frankie, the reason they always only made 1 Mario Kart game per console is because typically every game's just whatever the last one was with a little more meat and potatoes. Unlike sports games, the roster of Mario characters doesn't change every year, so even though it'd probably make them way more money to do annual releases of Mario Kart, N-Dog probably knows it'd be more redundant than Richard Wiener's name. I mean, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has way more content than 7, but it's not like the core game's like a trillion times better or anything like that. So literally the only reason Mario Kart 9 on Switch would make sense is because 8 Deluxe is a port, and I just don't think that's a good enough reason to ruin 8 for everybody. Because let me tell you, there's some diehard Double Dash fans out there who've been fiending for a sequel, and now's probably the only time it ever makes sense. So if you're Nintendo, would you really want to disappoint the self-proclaimed second biggest Double Dash fan, Timmy? He knows damn well that if it doesn't happen on the Switch, then it never will. In fact, he already told me he's gonna go off the deep end if Mario Kart 9's announced anytime soon, so don't make him do it, N-Dog. Or I'll come over there again and whoop all your dupas. I mean, it's not like the people who hate the dual driver mechanics that have to buy Double Dash 2 anyway. Worst case scenario, they could just keep playing Mario Kart 8, which is already damn near perfect. It's got 41 characters, many of which came from other Nintendo franchises, 48 courses, a great battle mode, online play that works surprisingly well by Nintendo standards, plenty of unlockable cards, blue shells that don't occur 2 to 3 times per race. And on top of all that content, the gameplay and controls are top-notch. There's really nothing that needs improving here, but as great as Double Dash is, there are a few things that could be spruced up a bit. Otherwise it'd just be a port, and everybody knows Nintendo's got a weird fetish of denying the Switch GameCube ports. The first thing that needs improving is the controls. Back in the day I thought it was perfect, but after playing Mario Kart 8 for so long, there's really no going back. And rather than 10 teams of 20 characters, they'd obviously have to come up with at least twice that. Which might sound like a lot of work, but even though I'm not a developer anymore, I'd imagine making 20 Mario Kart races wouldn't be nearly as much work as making something like Fighters for Smash. I've always thought Double Dash barely scratched the surface of what it's capable of. It'd be like Tony Hawk, Mega Man, and Resident Evil 1 without their sequels. I mean, just think of how many more cool teams it could come up with. I know Double Dash let you mix and match your teams, but I think it'd have been a lot more fun if the combinations had more impact. And rather than just having two characters share the same special item, I think it'd be pretty cool if they had some other quirks too. Maybe some unique animations or celebrations, especially for the wildcard teams like Mario and Bowser or something. Maybe some unique animations or celebrations, especially for the wildcard teams like Mario and Bowser or something. Plus, think about all the non-Mario characters you could toss into the mix too. Zelda and Link, Villager and Isabelle, Pikachu and Eevee, the miserable Bang This twins from Nashville, Tennessee, the possibilities are endless. But even if Nintendo didn't want things to get that complicated, they still have more than enough to work with just using their first-party IPs. I'm not gonna get too far into that right now though, since we all know regardless of what Mario Kart game comes next, the character selections are probably gonna be more like Smash thanks to the success of Mario Kart 8. All I know is that the Switch already delivered most of Nintendo's top IPs, so N-Dog's gotta deliver something big to keep the momentum going. Breath of the Wild 2 is already confirmed, and I'm sure Mario Odyssey 2 is right around the corner. But I'm sure a new Mario Kart game would definitely keep the pot stirring, especially if the Switch could still sell copies of the old game at the same time. And that wouldn't be very easy if the new game renders the old one obsolete. Double Dash 2 would be something different for people who already own Mario Kart 8, and it wouldn't make you feel left in the dust if you didn't feel like buying another game. It'd be a win-win for everybody in the world, since at best, fans would have a totally new Mario Kart game, and at worst, they could just ignore it. But I doubt anybody would ignore it, so if you're listening to me, Nintendo, and I know you are, even if Doug Bowser still says he's mad at me, just make Double Dash 2, because if Mario Kart 9 comes out anytime soon, it's just gonna be redundant. It'd be like giving your son Spray a chocolate cake, only to give him another one the next day while he still hasn't finished the first one. Sure, the new cake's got some sprinkles on top and it'd be a little more fresh, but ultimately it's just more of the same. But if you really loved your son, you'd at least give him a red velvet cake so his fat ass could have some variety, dang it. But I'll tell you two people who I love more than my own children are today's patrons of the day, John Polish Impossible to Say and our new patron, Paul Jonathan. If you want to be a badass like these two, then consider supporting FU Game Crew on Patreon for loot boxes and silly rewards. That way I could give paying child support the old college try. Or if you want to make cameos, and send us pictures of videos of you rocking anything from the merch store like these sexy BCC before you. What do you think about a long-awaited sequel to Double Dash on the Switch though? Do you agree that Mario Kart 9 would be redundant and Nintendo should try something different? Or do you hate Double Dash and want to TP my dad's house whose address is on the screen right now just because I even brought it up? Either way, let me know what you think in the comments below and I'll respond to every last one of you, or I'll refund you whatever you paid to watch this video. If you want to help this channel grow, then give it a share anywhere you think people might have an opinion on it. And if you're not a registered sex offender, then make sure you prove it by subscribing and clicking the bell. My name's Cameron, all one word, and I'll be back with more videos soon.
So I want to say thank you to your loyalty, thank you for your support.